Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Probably because I'm a tortoise, and my field of vision is about as limited as my speed. Anyway, I'm Tommy, and I'm here to tell you why being born as me isn't exactly winning the evolutionary lottery. Sure, I've got a shell that doubles as a house, and people think I'm wise because I move like I'm contemplating the meaning of life. But trust me, my life is less Zen master and more constant struggle with a side of lettuce. Let me take you through my story. Spoiler alert, it's not exactly a Disney movie. Let's start from the beginning, shall we? You wake up in complete darkness. You're inside an egg about the size of a ping pong ball, squished in with no room to stretch. You've been here for months, just waiting for your moment. And now, it's time to break out. But don't expect anyone to help you. This is a solo mission. Using your egg tooth, a tiny tool on your nose that's basically nature's version of a crowbar, you start chipping away at the shell. It's exhausting work, but eventually you crack through and emerge into dirt. Yep, dirt. You're buried underground because your mom thought it was a good idea to leave you here and disappear. That's right. She laid her eggs, covered them up, and then bailed without so much as a goodbye. So now it's up to you to dig your way out of the nest. Your legs feel like wet noodles, but you claw your way upward until you finally break through to the surface. And what do you find? The world is bright, loud, and absolutely terrifying. Oh, and did I mention the predators? Birds, snakes, lizards, you name it, they're all out there waiting for a snack. Your shell? Well, it's soft as butter right now. Basically useless. You're about 2 inches long and small enough to fit in someone's palm, which makes you look like a snack to every predator out here. Statistically speaking, only about 1 in 100 hatchlings make it through this stage. So yeah, good luck. Somehow, by sheer luck or maybe divine intervention, you survive long enough to make it to childhood. Congratulations. I mean, sure, you're technically alive, but let's not sugarcoat it. Your life is about to be one long, slow-motion obstacle course, moving at a speed that makes snails look like Olympic sprinters. At this point, you're about the size of a silver dollar with legs that barely work and a shell that's slightly less useless than before. Every day is a game of don't get eaten. Your main priority now is food because growing this shell takes energy. Lots of it. Your menu isn't exactly thrilling. Leaves, flowers, grasses, basically anything green that doesn't move faster than you, which doesn't seem hard. You don't have teeth, just a sharp beak-like jaw that lets you slice plants into bite-sized pieces. Eating takes forever because chewing is slow work when your jaw isn't built for speed. And speaking of slow, your top speed is around 0.2 kilometers per hour on a good day with no obstacles in sight. If someone dropped you at one end of their driveway and told you to meet them at the mailbox, they'd have time to go grocery shopping and come back before you got there. But hey, at least your shell is starting to harden. That means fewer predators see you as an easy meal. Still, every day feels like walking through a minefield where one wrong step could mean game over. By the time you hit your teenage years, around 5 to 10 years old, things start to change. Your shell has hardened into something resembling actual armor. Finally, you're less likely to get eaten now, which is great because, honestly, you've had enough close calls for one lifetime. But puberty hits tortoises differently than most creatures. For starters, it takes forever. You won't reach full sexual maturity until you're around 14 to 20 years old, depending on your species. That means spending over a decade stuck in an awkward phase where you're too small to date but big enough to get into trouble. And when mating season finally rolls around, oh boy, it's a mess. Male tortoises aren't exactly smooth operators when it comes to impressing potential mates. If you're male, mating season brings out your inner WWE wrestler. You'll spend hours ramming into other males like slow-motion bumper cars and stretching your neck as high as possible in some weird dominance display. If you win, congrats. You get the girl. If not, well, enjoy being flipped onto your back like an overturned pancake. Speaking of being flipped over, let me tell you about that nightmare scenario. If someone flips you onto your back on uneven ground or under direct sunlight, it can be game over pretty quickly. Your lungs are located near the top of your shell, so being upside down makes breathing difficult. And if no one helps flip you back over, yeah, not great. If you're female, things aren't much easier. Males can be aggressive during courtship. They'll chase you down, ram into your shell, and even bite at your legs to get your attention. If you're not interested, too bad. They're not taking no for an answer. You might try to walk away at zero point 0.2 kilometers per hour, but let's face it, he's going to catch up eventually. And once mating is done, the real work begins. Laying eggs. Producing eggs takes an enormous toll on your body. You'll need to store up energy reserves for months beforehand because food might be scarce when it's time to lay them. In extreme conditions like droughts, some females even reabsorb their follicles instead of laying eggs just to survive another year. When conditions are good, you'll dig a nest in the dirt with those stubby legs of yours. Lay anywhere from 2 to 15 eggs, depending on your species. Cover them up, and then leave them behind without looking back. No parenting for tortoises. It's all about survival of the fittest. By the time you reach adulthood, which could take anywhere from 10 to 20 years, life settles into a predictable routine. Eat, sleep, avoid predators, repeat. Your shell has grown into a full-blown fortress, thick enough to protect you from most threats, but also heavy enough that every step feels like dragging around a backpack filled with bricks. For males, adulthood means continuing the never-ending battle for dominance. Bigger males usually win fights and get better access to food and mates, but size isn't everything. Sometimes smaller tortoises sneak in their chances while the alphas are distracted. For females, adulthood is no walk in the park either. Sure, you're not out there ramming into other tortoises like a slow-motion sumo wrestler, but your challenges are just as intense, if not more so. Your life revolves around one thing: reproduction. Producing eggs isn't just a casual side hustle. It's a full-time job that takes a massive toll on your body. Now let's talk about your shell. While it's great for defense, it comes with its own set of problems. Climbing over rocks or logs feels like trying to scale Mount Everest. Unlike turtles who get all the glory with their aquatic adventures, you're strictly a land dweller. Fall into deep water, game over. Your shell acts like an oven in hot weather and a freezer in cold weather, which means finding shade or warmth is always priority number one. Even as an adult with a hardened shell, predators remain a danger. Coyotes, raccoons, foxes, they'll all take a chance if they're hungry enough. In some cases, predators will flip you onto your back to get at the soft parts of your body that aren't protected by your shell. If they don't finish the job, you could still die from being stuck upside down under the blazing sun or from internal injuries caused by the attack. Despite these challenges, adulthood isn't all bad. Most predators lose interest in fully grown tortoises. After all, who wants to mess with something that looks like it belongs in medieval armor? Plus, your diet expands as you grow bigger. Now you can munch on fruits along with your usual leafy greens. Here's where things get really interesting. Tortoises live forever. Okay, maybe not literally, but close enough. Some species can live well over 100 years. One Aldabra giant tortoise named Adwaita allegedly lived to be 255 years old. That means if nothing eats or flips you over first, you'll probably outlive multiple generations of humans. So, after decades, maybe even a century or more, of slow and steady survival, your time eventually runs out. Maybe old age finally takes its toll, and your body slows to a stop after decades of steady trudging. Or perhaps it's not so gentle. One unlucky flip onto your back and the sun bakes you alive. A predator cracks through your defenses, or humans and their speeding cars end it all in a flash. Even stress can take you out.